The amount of families that have been destroyed because people are going to jail for 15, 20 years, even less than that. Maybe they just go to jail for 7 years, like just enough time to ruin their fucking life, so that when they get out, they got no other options than to just do more bullshit. Because
7 years is a long time, man.
yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, you just need an amount of time that just ruins your life. Like, 5, 6 years, in jail. It's like, you're probably going to lose your marriage. Your kids are probably going to hate you. You're probably not going to be able to find like jobs anymore. You can't own a gun. You can't vote in a lot of states. Like you have all these new problems on top of the fact that you've missed out on life. And it's like, I don't know. The whole fucking legal system is kind of fucked. Like, some of this shit needs to be like revamped. Like,
once you open the pathway to drugs and hard drugs like crack, cocaine, and meth, yes, you become an addict. You become an addiction person of drugs. You're an addict. You're a dick. Because you have an addiction. Which is terrible. That's why people hated weed. They said that was a gateway of drugs. Like, it's a gateway to lead to other drugs, which I think is stupid. I just think people try to chase their first high and they'll never get it back. Like, that's why it's called your first high. It's just me.
That makes no sense at all.
Makes perfect sense.
I don't think the first time they get high, they're chasing that high.
Yes, meth addicts. Coke.
So you're saying the first time they smoke weed, that high is so good, they're chasing it, so then they end up doing crack or something?
No, like they're like the meth heads and all that. Once they get that first meth hit, they're chasing that meth hit, and they're trying to get back to that fucking first feeling they got when they first tried it, and that's chasing the high, and they're never going to get that at all, and that's why they become addicts. And also, it affects their brains where they can't quit. They think they can't quit. It just makes them weak in the mind.
So Tony, run us through this topic, because this spawned from a conversation on PlayStation 4, right? Or on PlayStation chat.
I think so.
DMX had died, and he died from an overdose, I'm guessing. And Tony was like, "That nigga is a dick." And we were like, "Really?"
Mind you, to all the viewers and listeners out there, see how Doughboy paints the picture of me. Because what I said was, his people are dicks. That's what I said. I never said he's a dick. I said his people are dicks. And then
you said both. I was present. You definitely said DMX was a dick.
I said his people are the dicks for letting him do it. And then I doubled down and said he's a dick. Mind you, RIP to DMX, but I think that when someone finally cleanses themselves of the drugs, right, and his people see him, people can tell when niggas is trying to sneak and do drugs. His people literally let him fall back into that habit. They're fucking dickheads. And then DMX, knowing, I think, to me, I would say that DMX went to rehab like what, several times? So his people, so his people should have known, like, damn, we got to keep a closer eye on this dude, because, weak moments he might, fail to withstand his urges and do it again. So yeah, they're dicks. And then I said that he was also a dick for not looking for help, like, because he's done it before. Like, why not look for help, man, to prevent this? And mind you, I'm not trying to shit on DMX himself, but it's just like, bro, people who are addicts go there for depression type purposes, right? They become there. To me, mind you, their mind is not strong enough to they're not strong minded in a way to deal with stuff. So they need help, which seeking help is good, because some people can't handle some shit. You know what I mean? That's what depression's a bitch too.
That's why I started smoking weed, because I was so depressed and it made me happy. So I started self-medicating. I found weed made me happy.
Is that the real reason?
Yeah, I started smoking weed when I was young, 13.
What made you depressed at such a young age, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, there's a lot of things, dude. There's a lot of stuff that went on in my childhood that
Like family stuff?
Yeah, my mom and dad divorced and a bunch of shit happened, you know what I mean? My brother didn't take it well. It was a lot of shit.
Joey, I got a question for you.
Mhm.
Because I've heard people argue both sides of this. Do you feel that you can be addicted to weed?
Yes. It's not a strong addiction because if I could stop today if I really wanted to. I don't, but I could stop, and it'll take like 2 weeks for me to like that urge that you really need to smoke kind of goes away after 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks are the hardest though, because you'll be thinking about smoking, something will piss you off, you'll be more agitated and shit like that, and then eventually that feeling will go away. I kind of never felt like I don't know. I guess I like weed too much. It's just you can't overdose on it. Maybe my lungs are gonna pay for it in the future, but I like it. I definitely think that there's some addictive traits to marijuana. Some people, there's people though. I've known heroin addicts. I've known people that have substituted their heroin addiction with marijuana because it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like a downer. So it's I think it's a good alternative to get people off, their drug addiction. I think it's a better drug to be on, to be honest.
So you'd say that it's a gateway drug to sobriety.
It could be. It could be used in that way. It could be used in that way.
I'm just turning the head on the gateway drug.
Because,
I'm not making fun of you.
Because I've even known alcoholics, man. Like that's terrible. Alcoholism, the withdrawals, they are literally addicted to the drink. They can't not. It sucks. That shit is very painful.
You can die if you're that addicted and you try to just go cold turkey.
Yep, you could die. You see, the person I know started to have seizures when they stopped drinking, and they had to call the ambulance and stuff. And that shit's unfortunate. You know what I mean? And he's a nice guy. He just has issues. He'll relapse. He'll go to rehab for alcoholism. He'll come back out, and all it takes is one drink, and he can't stop. He'll drink the entire bottle.
I feel weird about this, but I do actually kind of agree with some aspects of what Tony has said, though. I don't know that I would go full on and say that addicts are dicks, but
some addicts.
There are definitely some selfish aspects to addiction.
Yes,
and
yes.
Obviously, like, it can have lots of causes. There can be dopamine receptors in your brain that are messed up. It can be a chemical imbalance that causes you to seek out, these other forms of medicating yourself, basically. And there's just addictive personalities in general, and you can get addicted to damn near anything. I mean, like, physical addiction is a thing. People get addicted to masturbation. Like, people are sex addicts. Like, it doesn't have to be a drug necessarily, but there's something missing that you're trying to fill a void with typically. So there can be, there's a selfish aspect to an addiction for sure.
I think people who say that they're addicted to marijuana, with all respect, are fucking dicks.
So I'm curious. Let's explore. What is it about an addict that you think makes them? And when you say a dick, could you explain a little more? Because I think our circle uses the word dick very differently than the rest of society. Because society uses the word dick to mean asshole, and that's not at all like we're saying more like an idiot, right?
Yeah, more like an idiot. Our group, our circle,
people that smoke marijuana and say they're
idiots.
addicted to marijuana
are dicks, are idiots. These people, for example, Doughboy, since you're here, you said you're addicted to marijuana. I think that you're not addicted to marijuana. You're addicted to feeling that effect of marijuana, right? You can stop. Hold on. Now listen. I know it sounds stupid. You can stop at any point in time. You choose not to. That's not an addiction. You choose not to because you are selfish. You want to feel that feeling. That's it. You can stop. I've smoked weed. I stopped. I like weed. I like the whole process of weed, the growing, the breaking down, the whole. I like that process. Anytime I see niggas with buds or anybody with a bud, I inspect the bud. I look at the bud. I've seen it, Double. You've seen me do it. I look at the bud.
It's the worst thing in the
I
world
think
when
it's so
somebody
cringy.
who does not smoke at all will pull your bag out.
I don't do that. That's beast.
And then
I have my full nostril.
He'll take your buds out and then start breaking them apart. And I'm like, come on, dude. Oh, I want to see inside.
I've never done that. This is all false. What I've done, I've looked at his weed and I just looked at it, right? And I'm testing it like with my hands, seeing how it is, if it's dried up, if it's good or bad weed. And he's telling me that you don't even smoke weed. So who are you to gauge the goodness of weed? Which could be true. But as somebody who, back in the day, who has tried marijuana and know the difference between good shit and bad shit, I'm gonna tell you if your shit is good or bad. That's it.
Is this husk proofing? Is this another form of husk proofing?
No, this has nothing to do with husk.
That's all it ever is.
This is nothing to do with husk.
It's the same type of mental process that leads him to trying to test your couch to see if it's a good couch. There's some underlying addiction to testing things that Tony has.
Oh my God! So now I'm a dick.
Maybe some would say that he's a dick for it. I don't know.
Now I'm a dick for testing things.
But
I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about Tony constantly trying to be a detective and just investigating stuff all the time.
Yo. But back to the thing, I'm saying that people can stop doing drugs. They're gonna need help.
What makes you think that they could just stop?
Anybody can stop anything with the right help, with the right guidance, with the right help. Yeah, with the right backing. Doughboy can stop if his mind is a little bit stronger and he doesn't give up as easy. And then with the right coaching and the right people behind him, he can stop smoking weed. Just the other day, he said he quit vaping. This nigga's vaping right now. And we are dicks.
He didn't quit vaping.
And we are dicks because we're allowing him to continue to vape. We should be calling him out every time and maybe aggravating him and telling him, yo, put that dick down and take it out of your mouth and stop smoking it. Maybe this is what we got to do. Maybe I'm a dick. I'm the dick for not stopping this nigga from, staying consistent and quitting his vaping.
You actually hit on a good point there. Like the people in your life do have to back you whenever you're trying to quit an addiction.
That's why I say
about this.
Granted, Doey needs to tell us that that's the assistance he wants. Like if Doey wants to quit vaping again and he wants us to call him out, like he has to let us know.
Addicts are going to do that.
What about the term letting someone hit rock bottom, or they have to hit rock bottom before?
Nah.
Like you never heard that?
No, I've heard. I'm saying, nah. Let's not let you hit rock bottom. Let's try to stop the rock bottom. Niggas who get hit to the rock bottom die most of the time, or they're just gone. You know what I mean?
Some people are led by their addiction so strongly that they can. You know what I mean? Their addiction is so strong that they can't say no. They can't see a life without the bottle or the injection or the cocaine or something like that.
And maybe that's where I'm the dick, because I see that as being weak-minded. Your mind is already fractured enough to where you can't you convince yourself that you can't say no. And I think that some of our approaches to how we treat addictions are outdated and wrong. Because I've read some recent stuff about like AA, right? Let's just take it to like alcoholism. And the whole thing with AA is just not a drop. You quit, never a drop again. And it's kind of flawed. I've read research that says that it's if they had like a more like a moderation approach in teaching people how to like actually control their urges and manage their drinking, then they would be better off than trying to just do pure off the like on the wagon, no drinks or anything. Shit, dude, there's bars that will give you free beers for bringing in your AA coins, which is a fucked up thing. Completely fucked up thing. But like there's bars that will give you drinks for like bringing in your AA coins. Those are dicks.
Right?
That sounds fucked up. Like they're trying to rope you back into
keep
they're
giving
like
them money.
The fucking they're like the stereotypical like drug dealer who's like, hey kid, do you want to try some drugs? like for one, that doesn't really happen. But for two, it's like You know dealers that try to get people addicted to drugs so that they could sell them drugs? I've never seen this in my entire life.
Based off
Oh, no, that
Doughboy's
happens.
story when he was 12 years old with the stripper and shit, that guy was probably that guy who did that to Doe. Hey kid, you want to try some marijuana? And Doughboy was like, yeah. Then he probably did it.
Nah, I mean, I don't.
That was his story, not mine.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if that applies to me but I've heard of that, especially with women. Getting women addicted to drugs, drug dealers getting women addicted to drugs, and getting like
Oh, like as using them as like pimps, like using them as prostitutes and manipulating their mind.
Well, that's how you start. You get them to use drugs and stuff, but it's like a process. You could turn somebody into a junkie. Now you have revenue from that person.
So you would agree to my statement saying when you start using drugs, it makes you weak-minded and more submissive.
Well, it's not about making weak-minded. Some people are more strong, have more willpower, are more strong-minded than others. Not everybody is on an equal playing field mentally. You know what I mean? Like,
I personally don't like the characterization of saying that people that get addicted to drugs are weak. I think it's a.
I think the drugs make them weak-minded. I
think it's a very toxic way. No, the drugs make them addicted. Like to say weak implies like if you were stronger, you could just like do mad crack and then just not be worried about getting addicted to crack. Like it's just not accurate.
No, the drugs make you weak. It breaks you down. It makes you into when I say weak, I'm not saying the person itself is weak. I'm saying that the drug makes them weak enough to where they can't have the will to stop. They need help. Like
it's called addicted. The drug gets you addicted. Calling a person weak is very toxic because then the all characterizations of that person now are filtered through this idea that they're weak to you. Like, oh, because a weak, if they were strong, they could just stop, is what you're saying. And like it's just not true. Like that's not accurate. Like
not stop. They can start the process to stop and ask for help and seek for help. There's I don't know. I've never been really addicted to anything. Maybe just addicted to test the strength of shit. Cool. But
have you ever known anybody that has had really bad drug problems like that they can't stop?
Yeah.
And you don't like
and he's a dick for it. But I think he's stopped and slowed down because he seeked help. But he's a dick. He had kids.
That sucks.
Like, and I'm really harsh. The way I speak, people, I'm harsh guy. Like maybe, I don't know. Ever since my grandmother died, I've been really harsh on certain shit. Like I think you're a fucking dick. Like literally an asshole for certain things that people do in life. Like, and maybe that blocked my my brain receptors to feeling sensitivity for people. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how the effect of losing my grandmother, fucked me up so bad to where my sensitivity level for people is probably not even there. I don't know. I mean, there are some things like I'm probably getting it back now with the kid. It's making me better because certain things I'm feeling more sensitive to, like what he's feeling and shit. But I don't know, bro. Everybody, like death and families and people and addicts that are in your family, and it changes you. It fucks your mind up. It fucks my mind up. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'm the super strong-minded will person. Like there is times where I have fucking mentally broke down, but I brought myself back together. Mid breakdown, I stopped and said, yo, like relax. You're good. You know what I mean? But it is difficult. I don't know. I was never an addict. I see addicts as like fuck, bro. Like something happened to you that fucked you up and no one was there for you. It's bad, but you keep doing. And I think that's the idiot version in you. But like Pooch was saying, it's an addiction, bro. Like you're
making it the way you characterize it because it's like, exactly why you're saying it's weak, because it's like you have this view that every day this person wakes up and they're like, I could stop doing this or I'm gonna do the drugs. And it's like that does happen to an extent, but it's the drug has altered the way that this person is able to think and how they could process whether they want to make this decision or not. Their body is addicted to these things. Like they have to do this or else they suffer physical pain, physical the fever.
Yeah, you gotta like wean them off of it so they don't die, right? Is that what you're saying? Like their body yearns for it, like it wants it because that's the only way it's surviving right now. Like
yeah, I mean, that's why methadone clinics exist and things like that to help people get off meth. Yeah. And you also like you hit part of like you're like they could seek help and they could ask for assistance. And part of the reason they don't is because people characterize them having an addiction as them being weak-minded, as it being a failure of their character. And that's part of the reason why people don't reach out for help. There's a stigma that goes along with things like that. I mean, it's why people don't reach out for mental health issues. The same kind of thing.
In the Spanish community, it's so fucking bad.
Really?
Oh man, yeah. The stigma of going to a therapist or taking some sort of medication for your depression or, dude, it's so frowned upon, and even in my family. But I mean, I've had a lot of people in my life pass away from overdose and addiction.
Yeah, that sucks. And that's the doctor's fault too. I think most of the time, like the doctor prescribing these fucking pills needs to every time my doctor prescribes me pills, I ask him, I'm like, yo, is this gonna affect this? Is this gonna do that? And the reason why I question pills now, it was because of Michael and what happened to him. I question every fucking pill that comes to my way that I have to take, and I ask, like, is this gonna affect me in this? Is this gonna double down me even harder? Like, because that shit's scary, my dude. You're taking medicine that the doctor prescribing you, and you don't know how it's going to, both medicines that you're taking are going to react with each other. And you know what I mean? And the doctor needs to be more aware of that shit, bro. Like, it's just, it's shit's sad, bro. That shit is.
A lot of times, though, it could, a lot of times, doctors are too, willing to just give out prescriptions and things like that. That's a known phenomenon, and there's studies and there's like documented evidence of doctors like fucking trading like sexual favors for pills or drugs for pills or admittance into certain communities for like all types of shit like that. Like those things have happened, right? But on the other hand, there's also the fact that like a doctor may give you a prescription or two that does not like conflict, like they could go together, and then that doctor doesn't know that you're going to go home and you're going to smoke weed on top of that, and you're going to drink alcohol on top of that, and you're going to smoke cigarettes, and maybe you're going to take a hit of this other thing, and then this big combination of all this other bullshit is what invites those complications. So it's like it's totally possible that they overdose on what a doctor gave them, but a lot of times it's all the other stuff wrapped into that too. And it's also why pills, like medicine, isn't always the answer, right? Like it's why like you need to find the people that have these issues and make sure that they're in the right headspace. Like it's almost like there needs to be some type of like psychological evaluation of a person before you give them pills that could kill them. You know what I mean? Because like you need to know, like, oh, is this person addicted to something, or is it addicted to other things? Like what other things are they using? Like because you're gonna give them these pills and then something bad's gonna happen. And then there's the whole other aspect where like if you give somebody too many pills and shit like that, like it'll give them the opportunity to get hooked to this, and then because that's really what's happening. The meth crisis, that the epidemic, right, that's happening in this country is it's about basically doctors prescribing enough medicine for people to get hooked, then the doctor's not renewing those prescriptions, and then people go out and get heroin to to substitute those addictions that they have, or
it's craziness.
Meth. And what was that?
Yeah, it's crazy stuff like that. That's 100% what is driving like the
also
just
they're putting bits of fentanyl in everything now. Like if you're gonna buy shit from the black market or from people out there in the streets, like they're lacing it with fentanyl. And that literally the smallest grain of fentanyl can kill you if you've never had it before.
The lethal dose on that stuff is crazy tiny.
Yeah, it's like the smallest speck can kill you. So that's how Mac Miller died recently. He got bad drugs. A lot of people have been receiving bad drugs and been dying from the bad drugs that they get.
Yeah, that shit is
It's very unfortunate, dude.
Shit is fucking.
Shit kind of makes a case for just legalizing drugs, because if drugs were legal, then
You get
not
clean drugs?
decriminalizing. I mean, like, like going through the process. Like, basically, you're gonna have companies that are gonna start producing like meth, and they have to, be safe to some respect. You know what
Like
I'm
Walter
saying?
White.
You know
Walter
what's
White
crazy?
made that 99.99% meth.
That clean boy.
Was that killing people, or was that just such a clean hit? I don't know.
You got
But
something.
yeah, my point is that basically, like, a lot of the time, like, I remember back in the day, they used to lace drugs with like rat poison. They like basically people would put all types of shit in drugs so that people could feel like a severe reaction and be like, damn, that shit was good, or it hit me hard, and all this, and then kind of keep using, and bam, sometimes it's like, oh, you got too much, you got a bad batch, and now you're dead. And if this stuff were regulated, like, they couldn't put like some of a lethal dose of fentanyl in the drug, because then they'd be like, no, like, you're gonna kill people with this, and so, like, it'll be safer from that respect. But
I think you got something here, though, right? I think I would be down to vote for that if that was something to do. Like, United States just making drugs for people who have an addiction problem, but they're making it so good to where they can slowly wean you off of it by lessening the effect. Almost like a rehabilitation thing, right? Like, maybe, we'll give you this 99% Coke, and then little by little drop it down to where you just start not trying to use it. Like, maybe something like that, and then getting you off of it eventually.
but if they did that, then you're just gonna create a black market of the 99% Coke. Like, I don't know. Honestly, I think the amount of lives that you'd save just by legalizing drugs and being done with the drug war, it'd be crazy. Like, the amount of families that have been destroyed because people are going to jail for 15, 20 years, even less than that. Maybe they just go to jail for 7 years, like, just enough time to ruin their fucking life, so that when they get out, they got no other options than to just do more bullshit. Because
7 years is a long time, man.
yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, you just need an amount of time that just ruins your life. Like, 5-6 years, in jail, it's like, you're probably going to lose your marriage. Your kids are probably going to hate you. You're probably not going to be able to find like jobs anymore. You can't own a gun. You can't vote in a lot of states. Like you have all these new problems on top of the fact that you've missed out on life. And it's like, I don't know. The whole fucking legal system is kind of fucked. Like, some of this shit needs to be like revamped. Like, I don't know.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't think addicts are dicks, Tony. I think addicts are sick, and we should get them treatment. And then, to your point, right? If you, like you said earlier, I know I'm shifting back, but you were saying, like, if they had the right help, that they could be good and get out of it. I don't disagree at all. I think the problem is a lot of people can't have the right help. A lot of people want to go to a psychiatrist, and then their health insurance don't want to cover it. And then they got to pay $100, $200 out of pocket to go. And it's like, I can't afford this. Like, I wish I could.
I'm going through that right now. Like, for some reason, I'll be fine. And then 1 or 2 months, they'll be like, oh, this doctor's out of your provider care now, so we're going to charge you every single visit. And I'm like, this wasn't the way it was for the past 2 years. So also, finding a good therapist and finding a good psychiatrist is not easy, man. It's you know what I mean? You have to go through people. Sometimes the therapists aren't your style of therapist. I had one old guy. It was terrible. He would call me other people's names. He would give me other people's information. I'm like, no, that's not me.
He made Doey put on a shirt before he called him.
Yeah, no, that's not the same guy.
We usually put on clothes with doctors. We usually put on clothes with. Nah.
I do.
So maybe that's a tactic. Maybe he's so dismissive of you that you're just like, man, fuck all this shit, man. I'm gonna just fix myself.